tell us about your career journey. I mean, from graduation from Harvard to what you're doing now. Can you just give us a 20,000-foot journey of what you've been up to?
Overall? Yes. Is this working? Okay. Yes, so I went to Harvard. I never thought that when I was in high school I would go there. I think I had two big brothers who were really important for me, and also parents who were very much both in the military. So it was interesting hearing the sermon today and thinking about strife, because I know in our family we've talked a lot about if war is the right way, which we as a family don't really think it is. But anyhow, had parents who were hard workers and who were always encouraging us to say, go for your dreams. And so I remember even when I was in high school, my brother saying, apply for Harvard, didn't just try it. So I ended up going there studying psychology and anthropology, and I was really interested in culture and why people do the things they do, what motivates them and what moves them, and then ended up and really opted out of technology at all costs, because I thought math and science wasn't for me. And then I ended up going and working at Disney for 3 years in the Imagineering group at Disney, and I was doing technology for the theme parks. So I was looking at apps for the waiting lines, or I was looking at running Disney cinemas and everything. And I realized technology was really critical to understand, combined with the psychology and the social behavior, which is kind of where my heart was for a long time. So then I ended up going back to get my PhD in this program that's called Technology and Social Behavior. So half computer science and half communication studies or psychology. And so I've been there now. This is the 5th year, as I'm saying. I'm just literally in the last weeks of this PhD. 3 years ago started, though, while I was in grad school, started a nonprofit called Brave Initiatives that teaches high school girls how to code, kind of like myself, girls who were afraid of technology or didn't think it was for them. So started that, and then also I've had a chance to work at Facebook for a while, looking at psychology and computer science as well.
Yeah, and go back to the Disney World, why was Disney so, in some sense, consumed about the experience of the customers?
Yeah, I don't know, have people been to Disney World, some of you, or heard about it maybe?
Greatest place on earth, happiest place on earth.
Well, yeah. And it's interesting because at Disney, there's such pressure that when people come, in a good way, that it has to be the best week of their life, or the best weekend of their life, or the best day of their life. And so it's a fascinating kind of company that's focused on everyone who's there as an employee. You're called a cast member, so you're always on stage. So even whether you're the CEO or you're the ticket, I remember even the security guard officer is taught when every girl comes in to say hi princess, just like you're saying hi princess, to even like older women, or to say to the men that walk in, hello prince, or kind of every single person there is choreographed to make you feel important and special. And so actually I think Disney isn't even, like they've said that it's more so even about the staff when you're at Disney World than it is just about the music. But there are obviously so many things in the environment that Disney does to make you feel like loved and special, and the smells and the sounds and everything is choreographed to make you feel welcome.
And even some of the things you've told me is to talk a little bit about in terms of even your work in wait times, tower reuse, buffet lines. You had to study through all that, right?
Yeah. I was a lot of undercover roles for years. I was an undercover ice cream lady for 4 months. And I was looking at pricing. We did a choose your own price ice cream stand at Disney World for a while. And I worked in the buffet lines, and I was looking at how do you get people, normally you just wait in line, and how do you get people to go to different areas and choose healthier options, because then if people eat a ton in the buffet, then they're tired. The rest of the day, they don't have as good of an experience. So I was looking at food consumption, food waste. I looked at towel reuse in the hotels. How do you get people to reuse their towels? And so we tried out playful ways to get people to reuse a towel. All kinds of different projects, but a lot on how do you think about the way people behave, the psychology, and then thinking about how you change the environment at some level.
Switching gears, Facebook. Yeah. What was your role at Facebook in terms of what were you looking at and studying there?
Interesting. I was at Facebook during the election. So I don't know, for those who were watching the election in the U.S., it was a very interesting, tough time to be at Facebook. We were getting really negative press. We were getting, every day almost, Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO, would gather us together as a company and say, this is our stance as a company. We're trying to create a community online. We're not a media company, even though we were getting a lot of press that we're a media company. And I was actually working on the ads team, which got a ton of negative press, as you may have heard, because of the ads that were, sold. So it was interesting being there at that time. I was working as a user experience researcher, which is basically kind of the psychology with the way you design things, like some other people in this room have looked at. And so yeah, it was a very interesting moment. To be
Yeah.
there.
And now you and I have talked about even your doctorate. What area are you focusing on your doctorate right now in terms of technology and AI?
Yeah, so I'm interested in this combination of how do we design technology that makes people feel more connected and supported. Obviously, technology makes us feel so isolated often, even though you're getting likes or you're putting something out there. And it's actually, we've created a lonelier generation. And so what I'm interested in is how do we design more emotionally intelligent technology? How do we design technology that makes us feel closer and draw the best of technology that it has to offer rather than making us feel more alone?
Like what you said in terms of Facebook.
Yeah.
If you look at your Facebook, 7 years ago today, this happened or something like that, right?
Yeah. So there's actually been a whole new thing on Facebook that's trying to make you remember. Like memory is supposedly one thing that makes people feel happier. And so if you've seen this now, it says remember when, and it'll show you a memory that has made people feel happier rather than showing them hardship. But it can also make people feel more sad.
And your faith journey. And Emily, even your faith journey, how did you come to know the Lord, or what's been your faith journey like in the last couple of years?
Yeah, it's so my family, I was raised as maybe some in this room, raised in a Christian household. My parents both came to faith on their own, which I think was interesting to have that kind of a lot of questioning in our family. My parents' open dialogue, and even now we have a lot of conflicts about faith that we talk about, which I think is healthy. It wasn't just like this is the way it should be because trust me. It was like I don't agree with that, so let's talk about it and figure it out. So I think they raised us in a questioning environment. I moved every 2 years, so I went to tons of different churches.
Mostly in the U.S. or around the world?
Europe. Yeah, we lived in Europe for a while, and most of my middle school, high school was in Europe.
Yeah.
So I think that was good for us as kids to kind of be talking to people of different, ethnicities and religious backgrounds.
Yeah.
So I think, and then when I got to Harvard, I was in a room with a woman who was Muslim, a woman who was atheist, a woman who was Hindu, and me. And so it was a fascinating years in college of wrestling through questions, and it really faith became, I think, my own at that time. Now, fast forward, it's been a journey of faith, but I'm fortunate even with Brave. The women that I work with at Brave Initiatives are all women from the church. Actually, we all met at Park, and one of the women was in the cohort last year, Jen. But it's been amazing in that environment, having accountability through your work, but also through, as sisters in Christ working together, but also wanting to do, make a big impact in the world.
Yeah. A couple last questions. Even Brave Initiatives. Why are you when I hear you talk coding, girls and coding, you're so passionate about that. Why is that such a passion for you?
A lot of reasons. I think one of the big ones right now is I just think technology is changing the world, and we just don't have many women building it. Mm-hmm. And so one of my goals is how do we, and not even just socially conscious women, we need socially conscious men building technology as well. We tend to have people building technology who are just interested in computers, and then they're changing our world in really dangerous ways, as we've seen. So part of my goal is I want to get more women and women of color and women from different communities whose voices are not at the table building technology. I want to get them at that table creating and building technology. And I want to get men of color and men who are not in that circle right now. I want them building technology as well. So part of my goal is how do we have better, a more diverse set of minds building technology.
And as you get a chance, Emily's going to be here with us for a couple more hours. Interact with her, get to know her. She just has a wonderful story. My last question, Walt Disney World, who was more popular, princesses or Mickey Mouse?
I think Mickey is kind of the classic. I actually had the chance to be friends with Pluto one day, where I actually walked in the parks as Pluto. So I have a special love.
So you were
for
Pluto for one day?
Just for one day.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually, they get whenever you work at Disney, you have a chance to practice being a character, and you be all these different roles in the parks to actually learn what it's like to be there. So you have more kind of respect and understanding for each other. So Disney's a fascinating community. So I had to learn how to do his autograph and walk around, and because I'm tall, I could be a male character, which was kind of cool.
Wow.
Don't share that with anyone.
Emily, thank you. I think a lot of times I've gotten to know Emily, I've gotten to know Jen, and I think a lot of times all of us have different stories. We're going to hear from Marissa's story as well too. But the uniqueness thing that I love about Resource Global is God has a unique story for all of your life, and who you are is a culmination of everything good or bad in your life. And there are defining moments in our life that allows us, and God uses that to shape us to who we are. And the beauty of around the world is for us to begin to understand those history, the stories, and how culture and where we live and everything shapes the direction of our life. So, Emily, I've come to love you. We have become good friends, and thank you. And let me just pray for you, especially during this doctorate journey, getting your doctorate and everything like that.